camera on the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. Call the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners of April 16th to order. Roll call, please. Oh, before we begin, I just want to announce Commissioner Zhang will join the board meeting remotely pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.02, Subdivision 1B. She's out sick. And we know that the new rules say that if you have a medical reason, you can miss 3 board meetings and join remotely. That's new as of last fiscal year in October, so I just wanted to share that. So she is online with us.
And then, Mike, if you're on AV, can you do a split screen where we could see Commissioner Zhang on Zoom as well so that the public can also see her? Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. She might not want us to stare at her not feeling well, but Commissioner Zhang, you look fantastic, and we hope you feel better. With that, roll call, please. From your bed.
Bradham?
Here.
McGuire?
Here.
Moran?
Here.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Here.
Zhang?
Here.
And Martinson?
Here. Thank you. Will you please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Reinhardt for our land acknowledgement this morning.
Thank you. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hopes of a better life, and some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We want to acknowledge the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and the other nations of people who also call this place home. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-Native people to live and work on traditional Native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. We have the agenda of April 16th, 2024 presented for approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Zhang? Okay. I'll take that. Thank you. I took your hand wave as a yes. Bradham?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Moran?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
And Martinson?
Aye. We have the minutes from April 9th, 2024 presented for approval. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
McGuire. Aye. Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
and Martinson.
Aye. Now we get into the celebrations, the fun part of our board meeting. We're going to start first with the proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommuters Week, which is April 14th to the 20th, and Commissioner McGuire is going to present telecommunicators. Welcome to the dais. Please join Commissioner McGuire.
Big crew, we'd like to have everyone up here so we can honor all of you for all of your work and all of those that aren't able to be here, but we're so grateful.
Awesome. We don't often get to see the faces of our first responders, so this is
so
really exciting.
Madam Chair. Somebody can come up here. As we know, we always love to do the proclamations because we get to honor the great work of so many of our amazing employees at Ramsey County, and I am really honored today to be able to honor, on behalf of the board and the entire county, the Ramsey County Emergency Communications Center. So I'm grateful to all of you for joining us, and we know that you're doing life-saving work, and we so appreciate that. And with that, I will present this proclamation. Whereas the Ramsey County Emergency Communications Center provides public safety dispatching services for all police and fire departments within Ramsey County, and whereas the Ramsey County Emergency Communications Center is intricately involved with initiatives to secure and dispatch other responders and resources as appropriate for the communities we serve, often pioneering this work. And whereas the Ramsey County Emergency Communications Center usage of advanced 911, text to 911, and radio technology ensures the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and medical services within Ramsey County. And whereas the highly trained Ramsey County Emergency Communications Center telecommunicators process over 1 million calls each year with integrity, compassion, and professionalism. And whereas the safety of peace officers, firefighters, and emergency medical responders depends upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained by personnel from citizens who are often under extreme stress. And whereas telecommunicators are the single vital link for all responders by monitoring their activities, providing them with up-to-date information, and ensuring their safety. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners declares April 14th through the 20th of 2024 as Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Ramsey County. And be it further proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners commends the 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year life-saving work and devotion of the employees at the Ramsey County Emergency Communications Center who work to keep Ramsey County and all of our residents safe. Thank you so much. And we're gonna, if whoever wants to say that, and then we're gonna ask you all to actually introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
But you were gonna say so.
Yeah, if that's okay, I'm going to hand this off.
Okay.
That's it. All
You're
right.
gonna say yes.
All right.
And then we're gonna have everyone introduce themselves.
Well, actually, we'll probably do that during
Perfect.
this quick update.
Excellent.
Good morning, thank you, Commissioner McGuire, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and County Manager Berg. Thank you for taking time to recognize the professionals that work in our 24/7, 365 Emergency Communications Center. Sorry, it always takes me a little bit.
Yeah, catch your breath.
With me today is our newly promoted Deputy Director, Dan Palmer, our newly hired manager, Dave Rieger, Manager Laura Espy and Joe Dillenberg, telecommunicators Morningstar Reed and Cassidy Tenner, which I know I'm standing behind, Administrative Assistant Char Webby and Jen Schmidt, and our newly hired administrative planning assistant, Natalie Simonet. And I would like to make an announcement that after 30 years of service with Ramsey County, Joe Dillenberg has announced that he intends to retire July 5th. Congratulations, Joe.
Congratulations. It's a long service. It's quite amazing.
Very exciting. So during the introduction, you heard a lot of newly hired, newly promoted, retirements, which means we are experiencing a lot of change in our organization. And an even larger change we are experiencing is the remodel of our dispatch center. We're excited to host you at some point soon. We look forward to sharing our space. We intend to be back home by the end of this month, so we're excited about that. During this project, it's been a 4-month project. I'd like to extend a personal thank you to our property manager, Brandon Troland, as well as Todd Stahl and their teams for supporting us during this project. Thanks to Manager Troland's ambition, he was able to enhance other spaces within our center for overall refresh of space for our staff. To our administrative assistant, Jen Schmidt, who organized the chaos and supported the many vendors that were in and out of the vacant center for 4 months. And she ensured staff at our backup center had as much comfort and tools available to them to keep their environment safe and comfortable. A huge shout out to our entire staff. They were displaced during the construction. Although they had their entire work environment turned upside down, they have been supportive and patient and are now getting excited to come back home. As we invited our partner agencies to tour our new space, we received an email from Lake Johanna Assistant Fire Chief Matt Sather to summarize what he wrote. He said they pulled it off with zero ability for anyone to know they weren't in their normal, more comfortable, and natural work environment. Way to go. And finally, the reason this project was so successful is our technical team. Dan Palmer, Mike Mihalich, Mike Sullivan, Randy Larson, Vic Barnett, Jeff Bonneville, Fu Vang, and Jerry Q, who could not be here today. From the years leading up to this construction to the minute details, to moving staff from one location to another, which was seamless transition to our responders and community, to supporting our staff 24/7 with technical needs, working collaboratively with the vendors, and reinstalling all 40 computers and electronic equipment at our new site. Everyone involved in this project has been in awe, whether they're from our agency or not from our agency. They're absolutely in awe with our small but mighty tech team. So although we're celebrating National Telecommunicator Week, we recognize all the professionals it takes for a communications center to be successful. From our public safety telecommunicators, public safety dispatchers, supervisors, managers, our technical team, including GIS, I cannot forget GIS, they're so important, and our administrative professionals. I am proud to work with this team and lift up their amazing work. Thank you for taking time today.
I get really excited about, first of all, we get to see your faces because we know your voices. And so it's really lovely to see you all and know the great work that you do. I serve on the State Emergency Services Board as well as chair the Metro Emergency Services Board. And I love showing up because they know that Ramsey County's emergency telecommunicators are the best in the state. And so it's really a moment of pride that I want to share with you all. Really, the work that you do is life-saving and life-changing, and we don't often get to thank you. So thank you for all the work that you do. You are the first responders when our community is in crisis. You're a calming voice, always steady. Unfortunately, I've called you more times than I would like to, but every time it's been really lovely. A few months ago, we had a situation that myself and Jen O'Rourke, our director of government relations, actually helped someone who had overdosed, and we had to do naloxone. And I called 911. I don't know who the operator was. It was a woman, one of you, and she talked me through every step to bring her back to life and make sure that she was okay, and it was amazing. And so I always think, unfortunately, sometimes we get to audit our Ramsey County services, and you all passed with an A+. So thank you so much. Yeah, Commissioner Reinhardt.
Well, and Madam Chair, I'd just like to note that obviously there are some folks that are not here today because they are answering phones right
That's
now.
right. That's right.
And so even though they haven't been named, I want them to know just how appreciative we are, because I cannot imagine the stress that must be on you some days.
That's right.
When someone is, and yeah, most people are in crisis. That's why they call 911. But it's just really amazing work. And I know that our local police departments and firefighters appreciate all of the work that you do prior to that call being made, the call that you have to make on who to send. And I think that it has, being in partnership, it seemed like, I remember when I first became a county commissioner, I don't think that partnership truly existed. And now not only is it working well, but it is a trusted relationship, and that's because of the people that are doing the work.
That's right.
That's because of you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. We're going to take a picture. There's a few sneaking in the back that you can't really see. I'll have you kind of switch places.
Yeah. Mary Jo, get in. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We originally had a tour today scheduled at the ECN, but we're rescheduling because we're double booked, unfortunately, today with another press conference. So we'll reschedule the tour, but we'll be there soon.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Because we just had everyone up here, and I should have said it earlier because now they're gone, but Scott Williams.
Yes.
I don't think that he was recognized, and obviously
Oh, yes.
under his leadership is when
Right.
most of this happened, and good, you are still there. Sorry, I saw people leaving, I was like, oh. And so he's a short timer, obviously, but we want to make sure.
And we're not talking about his height either.
No. I don't have any right to do that. So. But I just wanted to make sure that he was recognized because of being such an integral part of all of this coming together over the years.
That is absolutely
And I know
true.
we're going to celebrate him at another time.
That's right.
But I felt that he should be celebrated here, too.
Yeah, this is all about celebrating our staff. It's also County Government Month, so you get double celebration. So
Yes.
Great work. Speaking of celebrations, we got another one, which is exciting. This is our presentation of an award for our appropriate response initiatives. We are the recipient of the National Association of Social Workers, Minnesota chapter, Paul and Sheila Wellstone Award for Social Justice. Commissioner Fretham is going to present this, and folks here for our alternative response. And we've got some overlap with, obviously, our emergency communications, safety and justice work, community, folks who have worked really hard. Welcome.
I can do this one.
Evidence of partnerships across the organization, multiple departments. We can recognize Scott again.
Yes. I should have realized that.
It's so good. It's good. Yeah. Hooray! We can make 3 rows. We can do 3 rows. We're gonna have to turn the camera sideways at some point. Yeah, this is great. So many people involved.
Wow, this is great.
I think the length of
Yes.
time is
Room over
telling you
here,
just
folks.
how much went
Yes.
into this with the number of people here filing in. Don't be afraid to get in close, add another row, so that you all get a moment to be recognized for the hard work on this. We on the Board of Commissioners and County Manager Berg are really proud to acknowledge the Appropriate Responses Initiative team. Sorry, wardrobe malfunction. Good morning, everyone. You're supposed to respond to emergencies. No one had my back here. As the recipients of the National Association of Social Workers Minnesota chapter prestigious Paul and Sheila Wellstone Award for Social Justice. Ramsey County's Appropriate Responses Initiative started in 2022 with the goal of enhancing 911 responses and safety by putting resident well-being and community at the center of justice systems transformation. The Appropriate Response Initiative team consists of Ramsey County employees and community members who share in the decision-making for all aspects of the Appropriate Responses Initiative. This group of over 40 people works tirelessly to advance this work to create a 911 system with more robust options to meet the diverse needs of the Ramsey County community. Through a collaborative process, this team continues to work through challenges and dismantle barriers standing in the way of centering community and wellness in the justice system. Key successes include changing internal procedures to divert mental health and substance use related calls to the appropriate resources and the addition of new roles, including embedded social workers in the 911 call center. The Appropriate Responses Initiative goes beyond mental health response and aims to meet the needs of 911 calls in a variety of circumstances. This includes the newly developed and launched public health response that is responding to calls related to substance use to assist in referring people to resources using a harm reduction model. Public health response is currently active in several Ramsey County cities. Later in 2024, we will see the launch of community response that will have trained community members responding to 911 calls. This is just such exciting work. I'm so proud of it. It's nation leading, and we're so grateful for all of you for doing the hard work. It's not easy to bring together all these disparate systems and ideas, and we all care about the safety of our community, and we all have different ideas of what it means to be and or feel safe, and sometimes they don't align. So thank you for taking the time to be together and work through all of those challenges. I know it could not have been easy, and it continues as it should, because that's what collaboration and partnership's about. With that, here to present the award is Karen Goodenough with the Executive Director at National Association of Social Work, Minnesota Chapter.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Fretham, Madam Chair Martinson, County Manager Berg, and Commissioners, especially Commissioner Ortega. It's great to see you in person. I just wanted to be here today to thank this amazing group of people for what they've done. Social workers across our state lift up really beautiful examples of what it means to be a social worker and work ethically and do great in our communities. And as an example, let me just show our little award here. I think that the memory of Paul and Sheila Wellstone is really important in Minnesota, and our chapter takes that really seriously in passing along the thanks and appreciation for folks in community who are doing great things and trying new things and being out ahead of what our communities need. So I want to just thank you all for the work that you do on behalf of our board and our staff at the National Association of Social Workers Minnesota chapter. I want to thank you for being an example for our communities and how to work together with community and try new things. So thank you.
Excellent. Congrats, everyone. You know, I think after the murder of George Floyd was really a catalyst for us at Ramsey County to say we have to do things different. And people all over the country, all over the nation and communities were thinking, what do we do different? How do we do things different? But we came together as a county. We used ARPA dollars to fund this program and to invest so that it was more than words and actually action. And this is really the fruit of all of that labor. So congratulations so very much. for doing this work, for being recognized for the work, and we appreciate that recognition. And Deputy County Manager Hadeen and Deputy County Manager Williams, as you leaned in and said, we're going to do this work together collaboratively across departments, and then really went to community to see how to do that. It is really, truly an opportunity for us to celebrate really great work. So thank you all. It's very exciting. Yeah. Excellent. Good. All right, let's do a photo. Can we get lots and lots? Yes, oh, sorry, okay. All right, yes, we should yeah, okay. Yes, go ahead, Deputy County Manager Williams.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the recognition earlier. As Deputy County Manager, we're not supposed to have favorite departments, right? Well, I do have a favorite department. They're standing behind me. In fact, I still wear the Emergency Communication Center lanyard for my security badge. For me, this started back in 2016, where we started to we set up a program where we were doing warm handoffs of calls, 911 calls from the ECC to our crisis line. And as word of that got out that we were doing this, I started getting all these media inquiries. And so as we're leading up to this launch, I'm spending all this time doing media interviews for something that we thought maybe it was going to impact 1,000 calls a year, which sounds like a lot, and it's not inconsequential, but for the volume that we do, it's not a ton of calls. And so I'm trying to understand what's this. I felt it was an overreaction to what was a small step. But as I reflected on that going forward, I realized this is how hungry our community is for a different approach. And so it was not an out of proportion response. It was a response to, based on how hungry the community was for really to go beyond that next step. So that stuck with me. And then over the intervening years, as the ECC just kept getting better and better, and that credit goes to the team standing behind me. In my role as Deputy County Manager, I kept pushing for more and more collaboration between safety and justice and health and wellness, and working with Kathy Hadeen and the health and wellness DCMs before her to try to figure out ways that we could do more collaboration. And so that laid the groundwork for appropriate responses. When this opportunity came, it was like, yes. So the team was already in place in terms of the collaboration, and so we were ready to take it to the next level. Now, this is a work in progress. We're not done yet. There's still much more to come with appropriate responses. So this is a snapshot of time where but we need to recognize we have an embedded social worker working in the Emergency Communication Center. So when you have the opportunity to tour our newer space, you're going to see we have dedicated workstations that are actually in the middle of the center. They're not like tacked on as an afterthought over in the corner like they were before. Now they're right in the center of our operation. So super excited. This is one of the most exciting initiatives I've been a part of in my 19 years with Ramsey County and my 36 years doing this kind of work. So thank you very much for this award.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Jasmine Madison, one of the community members that's been a part of this process from its inception. And it's just an honor to receive this award as a community member, to finally have a seat at the table for policies and things that impact people who look like me. So this process has had its ups and downs, but we all still love each other. So that's a plus. And just the transparency of the system, to be able to allow community in, to be able to say, you guys think it works, but it works a little different for us. And so this whole process has been great, and I can't wait to see it at its full fruition. So awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Kensinger. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a principal procurement specialist in the finance department here at Ramsey County. And I've had the privilege of providing procurement support to the ARI team. And I was asked by them today to provide some remarks about my experience of working on ARI. So thank you, team, for giving me this opportunity to address our leadership this morning. I've been with the county for just under 2 years, and my interaction with ARI has been just about as long. I was excited to jump in when I first started learning about ARI from Jen and her team. My background is in cultural anthropology. I received my PhD from the University of Minnesota in 2019. And as you might know, anthropology is a field science, which means we like to dig in and experience things firsthand and observe social change and transformation as it happens on the ground in real time. And so I wasn't really getting that kind of exposure from my seat in finance in the strategic team suite on the 4th floor of Metro Square. So ARI seemed like a really good way to be able to see some of the transformative work that the county is doing. In procurement, we have the reputation of sometimes being a little inflexible, but ARI is all about meeting people where they're at and learning about them, understanding their lives from their point of view. And so it's really challenged me to think about procurement differently, whether that be how we develop an RFP, to thinking about proposal evaluations differently, or doing different forms of outreach to get the community to engage with our solicitations, which can be quite intimidating for folks who aren't used to writing proposals or working with government. But at the end of the day, those are the people that we want to reach. And so I welcome the opportunity to work outside of my comfort zone and create a more community-focused procurement process for ARI. During my time at the county, I've also been involved in the purchasing and contracting transformation, which actually shares a lot of the same values as ARI, centering the experiences of community, removing barriers, increasing transparency and accountability. And so as we move forward with PACT, I'm excited to bring the knowledge I've gained and lessons learned from ARI to that work as we improve the county's purchasing and contracting activities. And so to wrap up, I just thought I would go back to my anthropological roots and leave you with a quote from Margaret Mead, who was a very famous American anthropologist from the early 20th century. And she's quoted as having said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, that's the only thing that ever has." And if there's ever a group of thoughtful, committed individuals, it's this group of people being honored here today. And I truly do believe that they're going to change the world. So congratulations, folks. Keep up the good work. You deserve it. And thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Alrighty, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager Berg. I'm going to keep this short since we've been talking for a while, but we're super excited to be here to celebrate the work that everyone in this room has been doing and those that couldn't make it today. It's been a lot of collective work to contribute to ARI. But with that being said, we're super excited to dive into the details and answer questions at our future board workshop on June 4th. So be prepared for when we come in for that later. But thank you so much for celebrating with us today, and we'll see you back on June 4th.
Excellent, thank you. All right. So what we'll do is a photo first, and then when we're done, we'll ask each of you as you go to sit down, just introduce yourselves, because we want to hear your names and who is here as part of it. So we'll do the photo first and then kind of file back, if that works. So that means we have to create a few more rows to come in. You have to be inside the pillars. What? There are many of them are gonna. Right. They'll do
You
that.
can stand up, guys.
Yeah.
Stand up. That's good. Okay.
Get in more, get in more.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Come on back. Do you need to come behind me?
Okay, we'll do two. Counting down. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. And 1. Back.
So you gotta put the award in front of the black shirt, because you can't see it on the white shirt. There you go. Aha, there you go. Thanks.
1, 2, 3. 3.
Awesome, thanks everyone. And there is a reception downstairs, right?
Yes.
Yes, downstairs, so we'll join you. Great. Excellent.
Just say your name and
Yes.
what you represent.
Yes, please.
Whitney Moore, Planning Specialist working with appropriate responses.
Excellent.
My name's Melissa Favilla. I'm a volunteer from the American Indian community.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Todd Grimmins. I run Black Lives Matter St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Excellent.
Katia Kadogo, Planning Specialist with the Appropriate Responses Initiative.
Jen Hamrick, Integrated Health and Justice Administrator.
Good morning. My name is Ray Black, and I am with Harriet Tubman, Domestic Violence Agency.
Good morning. I'm Gabrielle McNeil with Public Health, Healthy Communities Division, where the public health responders are housed, and the interim Healthy Communities Division Manager.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sarah Holly, Public Health Director.
Hi again, Christine Vangar, Planning Specialist.
Hannah Lemaire, I'm an Account Specialist with the Office of Safety and Justice.
Good morning, Selena Rosario Miles, IS Liaison.
Good morning, Bridget Edgar, IS Liaison for Safety and Justice.
Good morning, Morningstar Reed with the Emergency Communications Center.
Good morning again, Natalie Simonette from the Emergency Communications Center.
Hi, Laura SB, Manager at the Emergency Communications Center.
Good morning, Shar Webby, Emergency Communications Center.
Nancy Pass with the Emergency Communications Center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yvonne Duru, Deputy Director, Communications and Public Relations.
Good morning, Jessica Kissling, Crisis Services.
Hello, Kim Hansen, Operational Support Services Manager in Finance and helping to manage the ARPA funds.
Good morning, my name is Ashley Spohr and I oversee the embedded social workers.
Hello, I'm Brent Pavia, Evaluation and Planning Analyst in the Finance Department.
Good morning, Tom Richter, Public Works Fleet Services.
Good morning, Justin Zimmerman, Fleet Services.
Morning, Ivory Love, Planning and Evaluation Analyst.
Good morning, Lindsay Millard with the Civil Division of the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, supporting social services and public health.
Good morning, Jamie Levine, Executive Assistant of the Health and Wellness Service Team.
Good morning, Stacy DeAndre, County Attorney's Office, Civil Division.
Good morning, Kay Ward with the Office of Safety and Justice, Admin Assistant.
Good morning, Anna Hewitt, Social Services.
Good morning, Latoya Whitfield, Public Health Responder, ARI.
Good morning, Kathy Hadeen, Deputy County Manager, Health and Wellness Service Team. And I see our friend Jen Hamrick did not make her way through the commencement line.
She did.
Did I miss you saying your name?
Yes.
Well, maybe it's because I just wanted to give her an extra prop because you see. You see how many departments across this county system that it takes to do this work. Yeah. This isn't easy stuff. And as you've heard, we've had challenges and it's been exceptionally amazing and rewarding work to figure out how we can change the way we do this. And it takes an incredible human being to bring together all of these departments across our entire system to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do in the way that we need to do them so that we're doing them the right way, right? Whatever that means. And so I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Jen in this space once again and thank everyone again.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to keep celebrating today, but we have to do a little bit of work, so I'm going to turn to Commissioner Reinhardt for admin items.
Madam Chair, even though I know we have 3 items here, I know that the second 2 are going to be pulled, so I'm just going to move the amendment to the agreement with Lancer Food and Beverage LLC for the management and operations of the Keller Golf Course Clubhouse.
Can I pull up, are we pulling item 7?
We are pulling item 6 and item 7.
Second. All right, roll call, please.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Jean.
She said yes.
Thank you.
Aye.
Brother.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
and Martinson.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I am so excited to move the adoption of the Climate Equity Action Plan for our discussion and
Yes.
approval.
Second? Yes, and we're excited. We have excited movement and second. We're going to talk about the Climate Equity Action Plan. Is Carrie, do you want to join us? And Deputy County Manager Hadeen? Now that you sat in a row with lots of folks. Oh, and Abby is here too. Excellent. Hello, good morning. This is exciting. We wanted to just have a conversation so the community knows what this is. And I know we're going to have a press conference later and share more information and other team members who worked really hard. So I don't know who wants to start. Yeah. All right. Welcome, Abby.
Thank you. So we provided a pretty significant or detailed overview of the Climate Equity Action Plan in a board workshop a few weeks ago. But as a summary of that, in 2022, the county developed a strategic priority to respond to climate change and increase community resilience. That priority commits the county to take intentional, strategic, and accountable steps to partner with community in both greenhouse gas reduction and to develop resources that equitably help communities survive and thrive in changing climate conditions. In alignment with that strategic priority, the Climate Equity Action Plan builds on the work of the county's past energy governance team, the Strategic Energy Plan, Ramsey County's 2040 Comprehensive Plan, the State of Minnesota's Climate Action Framework, and tons of community input to outline actions planned to respond to climate change and increase community resilience. In developing this document, the county facilitated a year-long engagement process to better understand community members' needs, concerns, and experiences related to climate change that we described in much greater detail in our recent board workshop. The Climate Equity Action Plan positions Ramsey County to build on those partnerships with community members, community-based organizations, businesses, cities, neighboring counties, and the state, and recognizes and supports the efforts and progress of residents working toward shared goals and laying the groundwork for climate action. The plan includes both mitigation strategies to reduce emissions or remove greenhouse gases from our atmosphere and adaptation strategies to prepare for and adjust to current and projected impacts of climate change. The strategies are organized in 6 focus areas that align with the state of Minnesota's climate action framework, including clean transportation, climate-smart natural land, thriving communities, clean energy and efficient buildings, healthy lives, and clean economy. And to advance the work outlined in our plan, we've convened a climate change governance team composed of department directors from every county service team. They're working to finalize metrics to transparently communicate progress made towards the goals in the plan, to prioritize actions within each of those 6 focus areas, and to identify resources to support that work. We're also in the process of convening an equitable climate action resident advisory team to continuously review and provide feedback on progress made towards those goals to ensure that we continue to meet the needs of under-recognized and climate-vulnerable residents. You can read about all of that in much more detail at www.ramseycounty.us/climateaction. But we've summarized it for you today to request your formal approval and adoption of the county's first Climate Equity Action Plan.
Excellent.
Anything to add?
Great. Yes. Just on behalf of the team here, coming a little bit late to this in this kind of interim role, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I do want to thank Abby Phillips for bringing the organization together in such a strategic way, a non-threatening way. We all have a lot on our plate, but we don't have any time to waste as it pertains to climate initiatives. And we're going to talk a little bit about that this afternoon at a media event scheduled for 1:30, but the county's doing such tremendous work in this space, and we're going to continue to build off that. We're just going to do that in a far more strategic way now that we've got this plan in place. So, excellent. Deputy County Manager Hadeen, any additional comments there?
This is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is super exciting. I don't know any other county in this state that's doing this in this way. We're very grateful also to the state of Minnesota and the Minnesota Department of Health and other departments who had put out a framework for how this could look across government systems. And so a ton of amazing work to get this far, and work over the years in all these departments that are a part of the Climate Equity Action Plan and the strategies that have been implemented and continue to be implemented. And as Carrie said, this really just helps to drive us down a path that is more strategic. It leans on community, because community is who experiences climate change. Everyone in our community, every single one of us has vulnerabilities that are touched by the way in which our climate continues to speed up faster than we can keep up. So this is really cool stuff. This is a big deal, and very excited to be here this morning.
Excellent. Commissioner Reinhardt.
I truly am very excited about this. I know all the work that went into it, looking at it in a different light. Because one of the things that we do here at Ramsey County is we make sure that we are intentional and that we do take action. We don't just write a plan and set it on a shelf someplace and go, okay, we've got that. And not that others do that completely either, but I've seen it happen more than once in other settings. And so this county, and one of the reasons it's so exciting to be part of this county board, is because we are action-oriented. Admiring a problem just doesn't cut it. And so I have to tell you that, well, a couple of things. One, the incoming president of the National Association of Counties, James Gore, and I served on the Resilient Counties Advisory Board. And when he was chair, we talked about the fact that when we're talking about equity in this sense, sometimes is confusing to people, but he said it's very simple. Disasters don't discriminate. Responses do. And so, because there's different things that happen within the community, whether it's about language, whether it's about investment, whether it's about responses, all of that we had to look at in a different way. And I'm proud that Ramsey County did take advantage of the IBTS Equitable Climate Resilience work that's been done, because in order to do it and really do it justice, you need to have that intentionality. I just am so excited as we are moving forward into implementation. And I'll just tell you a story, and this was just a week or so ago. I was sitting and talking to a person who was talking about all the horrendous things that were going on in Texas, and all the wildfires and all these things that were going on. And she said, I just don't understand it. And I said, well, it's called climate change. And she said, well, I don't know about that. And I said, you just described everything. And yes, things have happened in the past. We've had droughts, we've had fires, we've had all of these things in the past. But this is different. And so whether you believe in it or not, honestly, if you really are just a climate denier, what can it hurt to do something better for future generations? And so arguing about the science of it or not, just look around. And actually, when I said that, I said, all you really have to do is look around and say, okay, what difference, how is this different? And regardless of what you attribute it to, we can do something about it. And so I think that the time for saying, well, the science isn't there, or it is there, or whatever, as she was talking to me, it was like, no, all you have to do is just listen to what you just said. And we can make a difference. And that's what this is about, making a difference and doing it in an equitable fashion. Because again, intentionality and action are where it's at. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that went into this.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. And I want to especially thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, having led on environmental issues for 30 plus years. Yes. And we have been doing environmental work in Ramsey County the entire time in different areas, whether it's in recycling or energy. There's been work, but the consistency across the entire organization is what's different. And this board decided to vote 3 years ago that climate change was a strategic priority, which is really the catalyst then to hire our environmental climate planner, Abby Phillips, and really lean into this work. So it was your leadership and Commissioner McGuire continuously pushing, we need to make this a strategic priority. I really appreciate you both very much. Commissioner Moran and then Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I always learn so much about this issue area. And you said a lot of impactful, powerful things. But I wrote down one that really stuck with me when you said disasters do not discriminate. Right. Responses do. Which is why it's important that as we listen to doing this through a more inclusive, equitable, fair type of way, and that we are leading that in partnership with community, I think that is really, really important. And the more diverse that community piece is, the better it will be. And I know there's lots of folks out in the community who are working with community-based organizations, who are working in this area. And I want to be able to take this back, because I think sometimes they're like at the legislature trying to get things moved. But you can always, Ramsey County is doing this, so sometimes they need to see local government, what the work that we're doing here and doing in partnership. So if you don't mind, could you repeat the website for me that they should go to?
Yep, that's www.ramseycounty.us/climate action. If you Google Ramsey County Climate Action, it's the first hit.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice job. All right, Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just thanks to all of you for all of this work, and of course, Commissioner Reinhardt, who's been doing it for so many years, and I want to give you kudos, Madam Chair, because when you became chair, it was then we said, okay, you let us, we all wanted to do it, but it is one of our strategic priorities, and it has led to all of this work. So thank you for your leadership in this as well, and all of you and all of our communities are very anxious for this work. So thank you, Abby Phillips, for coming to our Ramsey County League of Local Government Collective Action Team. They're very excited to get Abby as involved as she can, which of course she's being really good about saying, hey, there's only so much that we can do. You all get to do the work as well. And so she's being really amazing in working with our communities, because we know this is a team effort, and all of our cities and school districts want to be doing this work, and Abby's been great about helping them along. I know she's going to do a workshop, but we know that the work we do can complement each other and just keep moving forward on this. So thank you for showing the appropriate boundaries, but also working with our communities as we continue to all move forward on this. And I was going to do a shout out in my update, but we did have a collective action team. Abby sat in the whole meeting and really gave good advice on how communities can move forward. So thank you, thank you, Abby, but thank all of you for all of our. Thank all of us for all of our work.
Excellent. This is a big deal, and we're going to have a press conference, but we've got other folks on the team at the dais. Can we have an introduction? We know who you are, but everyone should know who you are. All right.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you so much for your support on this. I'm Daniel Schmidt, and I am the Division Manager for Environmental Health.
He's also a really good hockey player that helped us. Just saying. You should definitely get to know Daniel if you don't.
Good morning. This is feeling very momentous, so thank you all for your words and your support as we've moved along here. Ray Eden-Frank, Deputy Director, Public Health.
Yes, I remember.
And I don't think you know anything about my hockey skills.
Oh, but I do remember our first conversation about the environment, and when we said we were going to make it a strategic priority, I watched you light up and say, finally, it's 30 years overdue. It's got to be a strategic priority. So thank you, Ray, for really leaning in and helping this process.
Good morning. My name is Mary Tkach, and Climate Mitigation and Sustainability Planner for Ramsey County. And thank you for all of the work you've done to bring this work to fruition.
Exactly. And Mary has been there the whole step. I remember we were Zooming during the pandemic about climate change. So I remember, yes.
Well, I have to tell you, when I started my career in the environmental field, Mary was part of that as well. So she has been doing it at least as long as I have.
It's a pretty great capstone right now. Thank you. Wow. Awesome.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This is an amazing opportunity. It's not just public health that's here. We have so many departments across the county that have come together to partner on this important action plan. And I just want to say I sat on the state's climate action framework, one of their subcommittees, and we are leading the way. as a local government and also for local public health. So they are watching us, they're paying attention, and I just want to give a big kudos to our deputy county managers here, and also Abby Phillips. She's an amazing leader here in the county. We love having her in public health, and we you know, between environmental health, the work that we do in R&E and across this county, I'm just really proud of having this plan adopted. So thank you so much for the support.
Excellent. And that you make a great point. Every department is a part of this plan. This isn't isolated. I think about, we just heard from a procurement specialist on our alternative response, but procurement is a big part of our equitable climate action plan as well as public works and parks and all of our departments. So thank you all for your work, and we'll celebrate some more this afternoon. But for now, let's go to a vote and adopt this plan. Yes. Roll call, please.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes, yes, Commissioner Zhang.
Comments?
Yes, absolutely. Please do, Commissioner Zhang.
Thank you. You know, of all the days that I could be sick, I'm so sad that it was today. There's just so many good things that are happening. And that's why I really wanted to be online here too, because this is tremendous. You know, thank you to the leadership of the board that have made the decision to invest in this. And most importantly, it's going to be really incumbent upon all of us as county staff and county leaders to hold this document in guiding our work. I'm just so glad that, you know, there's a piece about clean transportation in our climate equity action plan, where we are prioritizing multimodal options. And that, you know, we call out specifically about projects that, whether it's MnDOT or the Met Council that are doing that, we are going to be partners in this to ensure that, you know, people walking, biking, rolling, and taking transit gets prioritized in this space, because there are so many you know, projects that are coming ahead. And I know folks have been paying attention to around the I-94 project, where this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for us to really lean in on this, and also push all of our partners at all local levels to think about the amount of work that's required and necessary to change the course of where we are headed and actually meet our climate goals around carbon emissions. And one of the ways to do that is to support transportation options that can move mass people around, and not just rely on single occupancy vehicles. So I just wanted to share that about my excitement and enthusiasm for this. As well as other parts around that we have celebrated already, our telecommunicators, as well as the Alternative Response Initiative. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Zhang. With that, let's do a roll call.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
Fredum.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
And Martinson.
Aye. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, we have one more really fantastic item to talk about, and that is our agreement with Regents Hospital for bedside violence intervention. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Excellent. And we'd ask Mark Campbell and Director Gibbons to join us at the dais to just talk a little bit about our violence intervention programs. I know this is I serve on the Regents Hospital Board, and so I get to hear the intense gratitude for Mark, your team at the bedside when we've got incidents. So just wanted to say thank you and congratulations. I hear a lot from doctors and nurses that they're feeling safer when you're there as well, and community is feeling welcomed and that you're alongside that program. So do you want to just open with comments, or Commissioner Moran had questions?
Please.
Commissioner
Go with
Moran?
questions and then.
No, I didn't have no questions.
Oh, okay.
No.
'Cause-
I'm waiting.
Okay, got it. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, County Manager Berg. It's been a long time coming with us doing this work. I was hired by Ramsey County in 2019, Public Health, to begin to do research on violence intervention and prevention strategies nationally and internationally as well. I myself, as a survivor of both sides of the gun, come with a plethora of lived experience, as well as being a community leader and faith leader who has provided a lot of that bedside support as a pastor for our residents who have been injured by gun violence. In the medical world, there's a term called the golden hour, which is a concept where patients who are critically injured need to receive some type of supportive services and medicinal services within that first 60 minutes of that injury in order to increase their mortality. And we believe that to be true for those of our residents who are survivors of group and gun violence. And what I mean by that is that there's a window, what we believe and what we've seen is there's a window within that first maybe 60 hours to a whole week of a person being injured by gun violence, that there's an opportunity to go in and really provide the wraparound supportive services and care beyond what happens in the hospital. We see oftentimes that our residents are released back into community without any kind of wraparound supportive care, and not only just for themselves who are directly impacted, for their families. So it's a holistic model. The work started from a relationship that I had developed with Dr. Bourne, who is he is an emergency medical physician at Regents Hospital, had been down there just kind of doing the work in times past and set up a meeting and was like, hey, can we get together and discuss what it would look like to have a hospital bedside violence intervention model? I would love to tell you that this is the first in the nation, but it's not. This work comes out of an organization in Oakland, California by the name of Youth Alive. They have a model called Next Steps, which there's a base in Hennepin County at their HCMC Medical Center. So a lot of it is a hybrid of it in order to fit and accommodate the work that we're doing. I want to pause for Brother Mark to share some feedback.
Thank you, everyone. Madam Chair Martinson, good to see you in person, County Manager Byrd, for the first time. Commissioners, both present and virtual. Thank you for just acknowledging the work that's being done. Very important to understand that we have to be able to take action in these spaces and not just talk about it. As you talked about, Commissioner Reinhardt, it's important that we put legwork behind the things that we want and that we know that are important. And so going from being able to be in spaces just to be and have an MOU to be in the Regents facility, at first there was growth. They expected us to basically come and be an extension of security, to be quite honest. And one of the things that we said was that was extremely transactional. And it felt like we would just be keeping community at bay, when the goal wasn't to keep community at bay. With Healing Streets, our goal is to keep community in healing, and whatever healing looks like for individuals, for families, for organizations, for Ramsey County, period. And so from there, it took years to build out the MOU to just be in space and work with regions in that space. And I'm grateful to be in the space today to be able to say now we're actually talking about the bedside work, which Director Givens put so eloquently about in those windows in that golden hour, to be able to be in that space, not to evade, right? Even we have the permission, so to speak, as we do that, to go in those spaces. Actually, we still want the permission of the families of the individuals, because they, again, are driving what healing looks like for them. So even though we have this MOU and things are signed, and that's great, we still know that community gets to run what healing looks like for them. And so everything is an ask, everything is voluntary, but we want to make sure that they know that we're not going to let them go, that you are supported. So thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell us, how big is your team and how often are you finding yourself at the bedside?
Our team has fluctuated. Right now, we just promoted Shannon Woodard, who's in the space, as another program supervisor like myself, because we know the need is great. We have great community mediators who come in. We are in the process of hiring more community mediators. Our community mediators originally just celebrated on March 29th their 3rd year of being community mediators. So in that time, it is really hard to even count. What I can tell you is I got a call this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Regents, because our relationship is such that any GSW that happens, they reach out to us and we work with them. Unfortunately, in this case, A young man, roughly in his 20s, was there with his father and decided to leave. But in that space, dispatch at Regions were communicating with us in real time, so we didn't have to dispatch. At the same time, we are following up with every time with them to make sure that no one gets, in a sense, left behind when it comes to healing. So our team is growing. Right now we have six in total, and we are looking to hire more. And we are always looking to be as diverse as possible, because we know that diversity, is something that we need when we're talking about healing. Everyone deserves healing.
And what is GSW?
Thank you for that. It's gunshot wound.
Okay.
Gunshot wound.
So can you just, for our understanding, when you said you received a call at 4 this morning, can someone arrive? What does that look like? What's the protocol that triggers, and where does that call go?
Sure, great question. So we have standard operating procedures, what we call SOPs. So we have a call that will come in to usually myself or Shannon Woodard. From there, we get as much information as possible. From who? I'm sorry, thank you very much. From Regions Hospital. Also, we have partnerships with St. Paul Police Department, SPPD. So ONS, Office of Neighborhood Safety, so we are working closely with St. Paul. It's really about partnerships. So those calls will come into us. I will then, or Shannon will reach out to the team and first kind of just field out, hey, this is the information we have. One of the things that work really well with the Healing Streets Project is the people we have hired purposely at that table have connections in community. So a lot of times they may say, oh, I know who this person is, or I'm connected to this person. So that allows us to start to reach out from a point that's not where everyone could be funneling in to try to give resources or try to do this. Our job isn't to compete, right? Our job is to support and to help. And so once that call goes out, there's a call that's made. There are usually at least 2 community mediators, myself included. I always want to lead by example. And so if that means that I have to get up at 1:30 in the morning or 3 in the morning to do that, then that's the example that's set. And then from there, we will dispatch to Regions if there are people there that we can support. A lot of times there are people with GSW, gunshot wounds, that are in surgery, and there may not be a loved one there. Even in that case, we work with our contacts there to make sure our information around Healing Streets is still given out in that space. And once we're dispatched and we show in that space, our job is to just, starting from the fringe, work out to see what people need, connect with people. And a lot of times there have been 75 people down at Regions who are all grieving. And our job isn't to move the crowd. Our job is to support the crowd, give the information that we have. We have great relationships with trauma surgeons and the things that can be shared. And then from there, follow back and circle back with the people we've given cards out to, answer emails, answer calls. We don't want to leave any loop open. We want to make sure loops are closed. And once that loop is closed, it's a circle to where we continue to work with them. We're not outside the loop, we're in the loop.
And if I can add one of the pieces before, Commissioner, with this, one of the unique pieces about this particular MOU is all the work that Mark had just described. A great job. I appreciate you for that. Was happening down in the lobby, right? Because we didn't have the permissibilities, unless a family member or a loved one of the person who was impacted by gun violence, which oftentimes happen, would say, hey, Mark, hey, Shannon, hey, Dwayne, we would like for you to come back with us to the ICU to see our loved one. If we weren't given that permission by family, we didn't have anything binding that would protect all parties involved in doing this work. So in the example that Mark gave, where a person was still inside of surgery and there's no loved one present, what will be helpful with this in place now is that next morning we can get a call from Regions that says, hey, the person's up, they're coherent, someone talk to them, they're open to having Healing Streets come in. And we could actually go to the bedside and have that conversation. How I got introduced to this work, I went and I did a site visit at HCMC's Next Steps. It was myself and 2 other gentlemen who went up to do what they call a custom or the bedside visit. And for me as a survivor of gun violence myself, it was medicinal in the fact that I didn't have anybody come to my bedside in my instance, right? And this young person who had been shot, this was now their 3rd time being shot on 3 different occasions. And between the 4 people that were in the room, there was well over, I think, 15 bullets that had penetrated our bodies. And so the conversation and the intervention, and more importantly, the centering of healing, because we talk about prevention, we talk about intervention, but what does it mean to heal? This kind of post-traumatic growth piece, right, becomes important in the work that we do. So I wanted to make sure I highlighted that.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
And what I'm thinking, your concept is about healing, right? And so can you give us an example of, what would happen? Because healing is part of trauma, the trauma and what trauma produce afterwards, right? And so can you give us an example of what you do now versus if you were not there, what that trauma, what that healing, what that process would look like? Historically, what have you seen happen?
I could jump in for a moment. So prior to this memorandum being put in place, this was work that we did, curbside. This is work that we did in community. With the ARPA dollars that we received during the pandemic, we were able to release an RFP for community grief workers, right? Because the big part of this, what I saw as I studied violence intervention and prevention approaches and models across the nation, what I saw was missing for me was that many of them did work, right? Where they came in, they did some of the bedside, but none of them led primarily with healing in the forefront. I believe personally before we had a problem with group or gun violence, we had a problem with misdiagnosed or undiagnosed grief or complicated grief, right? This whole notion of hurt people, right? And as a retired pastor who has performed innumerable amount of funerals and homegoings for folks who have been harmed by gun violence, was seeing this trauma continue to be perpetuated under the brow of grief. And so leaning into this, it was important that we hired, or contracted, I should say, with community healers that can meet individuals and their families where they were. It isn't just enough to ask somebody who's been harmed by group or gun violence, hey, I would like you to come to this group that we have on grief, or I would like you to come to this, this space where we're talking. Because not everybody's at that place. And when you have a violation to your body, the last thing that you want to do is open up in any other way to engage with other people. So being able to have a grief supportive services come directly to where you are, whether that's your home, a library, a church, a mosque, whatever you feel called as your brave space for healing to happen, we would do that. In partnership with the grief workers, the mediators, and the Healing Streets team would develop a wellness plan for every individual that was impacted, including their households, right? Of saying, as Mark said, what does healing look like for you? And that wellness plan had short, long-term, and midterm goals. It was accompanied by resources, both in the monetary as well as wraparound supportive resources. So that piece was there. I want to also mention a piece that often doesn't get talked about when we talk about gun violence, is those who cause harm in our community. We don't just respond to those who have been impacted directly by gun violence as being a victim of such. We also often receive calls where there isn't necessarily enough evidence, if you will, to pursue a particular person, but it has been identified that this person has caused harm. We want to interrupt this on both sides. So we're building those relationships with those who have caused harm, working with them both in and outside of our incarceration facilities, and continuing to lead that charge of healing on both sides of the gun.
Excellent. Thank you for the information. Let's move to a roll call vote. I'm sorry, Commissioner Zhang. I apologize. The hand is very hard to see on the screen. Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Zhang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to congratulate you all on making this possible. I know that you all have been, working on this for quite some time, and the ability to, like how I like to see it is like that we are disrupting the way that things are by like institutionalizing it, right? That it's an agreement, understanding, and that we will be, we as in you all, the community mediators will be able to have that access. And I think this is just so big, and I think this is exactly the type of work that community members have been asking for. And Director Gibbons, thank you so much for highlighting the need and the focus and emphasis on the healing piece. because that is a service that, that often does not get recognized too. So thank you for lifting that up and incorporating that in your work. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zhang. Roll call, please.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Fredum,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
and Martinson.
Aye. Congratulations. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Did
quickly,
they
as a
actually
heads
introduce
up,
themselves? Oh, sorry.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, Madam Chair and Board, as a heads up, we were contacted by Gillette Children's Hospital who want to do the same thing, so I'm
Oh,
sure we'll be
great.
back before you all again for another agreement, because there's work that happens over there as well. So.
Excellent. And Commissioner Reinhardt wanted you to introduce yourself for the record. We just
People were
assume
listening to all the
everybody.
wonderful words you were saying ahead.
Yeah,
So
they
people
went.
listening
Yes,
anyhow don't know
please.
who you are.
Definitely. So I'm Danny Gibbons, Director of Transforming Systems Together, which houses the Healing Streets Project.
Excellent.
I am Mark Campbell, a Program Supervisor of the Healing Streets Project.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we have one. We should have applause for all the work we do every day. This is great. All right, we have an ordinance procedure, which is the adoption of the ordinance to accept the land donation of 0 Mystic Street, St. Paul, to Ramsey County, and to convey the donated land as parkland. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Fredum,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
and Martinson.
Aye. Next up is our legislative update. Commissioner Moran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, this week, the legislative schedule will be a flurry of activities as House and Senate committees are releasing their omnibus budget bills, taking public testimony, and considering amendments. All major spending bills, with the exception of the tax bill and the bonding bill, needs to be out of committee by the end of the day on Friday. Government Relations have built a table with links to all available omnibus bill language and spreadsheets, which was sent out in their legislative update last night. So I've asked them to also post it on their internal government relations intranet page as well. The House Children and Family Bill include $4 million for the unsheltered. It does not call out Ramsey County specifically, but we will be eligible for the funding at DHS. I'm hoping that we do better in the Senate Health and Human Service Bill, which we had an actual hearing. The legislature will be on break Monday and Tuesday of next week for Passover. After that, the focus will be on the Finance and Ways and Means Committee as they process all these budget bills and create a pathway for them to move to the floor for debate. Behind the scene, legislative leaders are looking ahead to an end of the session deal. Caucuses are already making decisions on what policy bills need to be left on the cutting room floor, which ones would be priorities in the final weeks of session. So we are hearing a lot of kind of like, we can land this plane without all the passengers. So another way of saying that is, they're saying we don't need to include every bill to end the legislative session. With over a month until the constitutional adjournment, which is May 20th, it seems like lawmakers have a lot of time, and we was thinking they would end early. I don't think so. It's gonna be pretty close. But passing bills to the governor requires the House and the Senate to use official legislative days. Last count is they are down to 17 official days left. So keep in mind they burn through one of these days every day that they are on the floor, which is usually Mondays and Thursdays for this period in session. And so that's where we are.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Moran. We're going to go to County Connections. County Manager Burke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one update, continuing with our celebratory note here today. Once again, Ramsey County has received accreditation from the Emergency Management Accreditation Program, which I'm going to pronounce EMAP. EMAP standard is the only standard recognized by the National Association of Counties, and it's an accreditation of the entire emergency program within the county, not just the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Department. We remain the only Minnesota county to have achieved national accreditation for our emergency management efforts. Want to particularly laud the work of Deputy Director Christy Stauffer and Coordinator Brian Mayer, who managed our accreditation process. So many thanks to them and to the department as a whole. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
That's great news, and good to celebrate on County Government Month. We are going to do outside of board and committee reports, but I want to get us back on schedule. We spent a lot of time celebrating all the good work today, so if we could just keep any highlights to need to know information, and we can circle back again next week if we need to. I'll start with, who do we start with? Well, I'll just go over here, so I'll go in a circle.
Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief. Just welcome to our new employees. I did the orientation last Wednesday. It was really nice to be there with our Deputy County Manager, Scott Williams. It was great to welcome the new group of people working for us. Also, County Road B had County Road B construction had an open house. Shout out to Public Works for all their good open houses they do in our communities. And the Ramsey County League of Local Government did have our full meeting. I know that Commissioner Reinhardt was there. We did What About Waste Management in the East Metro. Shout out to the Recycling and Energy team of Michael Reed, Shannon Conk, and Gabriel Reynolds, who did a great presentation on how we're dealing with our waste management and our food scraps pickup program. And with that, it is County Government Month, and we are just trying to recognize everything county government does. I was out in community, and one of the members one of my residents came up to me and just thanked me so profusely for the great work that he had gotten done about some a medical assistance issue that he had. Of course, I'm shouting out to my assistant, Kate Doohan, but she talked to Jamie Levine, of course, and Jamie Levine always gets us all to the right place. So shout out to Jamie Levine for connecting constituents and staff to help resolve the issues that we all have. And I am fortunate I'll be heading to DC this afternoon. I have a meeting, there's an annual meeting of Convergence, which is the group that's doing our work for NACO in bringing people together on tough issues. And then I'm meeting with the Secretary of Education.
Excellent.
So I'm excited about that. And then we have an AMC Board of Directors meeting on Friday. So stay tuned on that. And then Saturday, Mighty Mississippi River Cleanup Challenge at Battle Creek Regional Park. We have a challenge from our colleagues in Goodhue County. And so that's this Saturday. And also we have the Rice-Larpenteur Alliance Spring Cleanup event on Saturday. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ortega.
No report, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Fredlum.
I apologize in advance because this will not be short, but I don't usually do long ones. As you may remember, I was late to last week's board meeting due to my eclipse trip, and so I unfortunately didn't get to be here for the proclamation on Transgender Day of Visibility. But I did get an email from a constituent requesting that we reconsider and rescind it, and I need to address it and unequivocally state that we won't do that. The first reason this constituent gave was that gender-affirming care she believed was harmful to children. And this is patently wrong. According to the Trans Health Project, leading medical groups recognize the medical necessity of treatments for gender dysphoria and endorse such treatments. And most of these groups have also explicitly rejected insurance inclusions for transgender and related care. And these are not fringe groups. These are the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the American Academy of Family Physicians, the Academy of Nursing, the American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Physician Assistants, American College Health Association, Nurse Midwives, Physicians, American Counseling Association, American Heart Association, American Medical Association. It is a list 3 times as long as what I'm reading. It is not harmful for kids. In fact, it's quite the opposite. And we did this work on the Subcommittee for Children's Mental Health a couple years ago, stating the importance of gender-affirming care for children. Another reason she gave was that some people don't share this belief and that the county doesn't need to take a stance. And I'll say one, you know, there are a lot of things that, that people don't share the same religious or political beliefs that we have to talk about, whether it is climate change, which we talked about earlier today, the validity of taxation, which goes against people's beliefs, or any number of things. And it's not about belief. And I'll quote Professor Cicely Marston here, that people who assert that biological sex is binary seem to offer varying and sometimes contradictory biological markers that they claim divide everyone in the world neatly into two categories. Is it chromosomes, gametes, testosterone levels, genital appearance? Nobody seems to be sure. The truth is, biological sex is a construct, and it helps us categorize and organize things, and that is something humans like to do. It makes it easier. Our brains are wired to do that, but that doesn't make it correct. And it doesn't mean that your belief is valid when there isn't a scientific basis to assume that everyone is one or the other. And Asher Firestone adds that, you know, there has been multiple fluid genders existing throughout time in many cultures. And honestly, what the project of colonialism is what necessitates an order to enforce strict gender binaries. And that is an order that is designed to privilege men. By claiming that anyone who's not a cisgender man is biologically inferior, men are given a rightful claim to positions of power, leadership, and control. It is these beliefs that legitimize patriarchy, discrimination against women, but also the oppression of trans and non-binary people, and it creates negligent healthcare systems and violence and murder, particularly against trans women of color. And that leads into why the constituents' argument that the county doesn't need to take a stance. We oversee the public health agency, and violence against transgender people is a public health issue. Quoting from Professor Dr. Monica Wendell's argument on a paper on the same topic is that the field of public health, and even more so the discipline of health promotion, is grounded in social justice and a mission of health justice and equity at least. And if we are to actively engage in the practice of those values, we cannot remain silent in the face of systemic oppression or violence towards any group. All means all. Paulo Freire argued that our humanity is intrinsically bound to that of others, that this means that until all of us are free, none of us are free. We have an obligation not to stay silent. It is why the county must weigh in and why it is important to us. And it is also important to me. The Trevor Project notes that suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people ages 10 to 14 and the third leading cause of death among 15 to 24-year-olds. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning young people are at a significantly increased risk. In fact, LGBTQ plus young people are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. In January of 2001, a dear friend of mine, Eric Turbinson, lost his life to suicide as a teenager as he was consistently abused by people and systems due to his sexual orientation. I will not be quiet while children continue to consider killing themselves because they can't be who they are. And I absolutely reject any argument that I need to be more respectful of grown-ups who are uncomfortable with differences in gender than children who are attempting and committing suicide. Finally, her argument against the proclamation was that it was not the same date as President Biden's, and for that, I will happily push for a second proclamation to declare another day of transgender visibility on the same date of President Biden's, so let me know if that will address that issue. That's all.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. Time well spent and time well said. Thank you very much. Commissioner Reinhardt.
I have no report. Thank you. Honestly, I thank Commissioner Fretham. So well said. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. Yeah.
Commissioner. Yeah, well, I had a few things, but I'm going to focus on just one. And mine's entail looking at the African American Family Preservation Disproportionality Act that is moving through the legislature at this moment. And so I'm going to just read what I was going to send forward to them. So I am writing to urge support for the passage of the African American Family Preservation Disproportion Act during this legislative session. As an advocate, as a community leader, as one who also carried this bill before, I am deeply concerned about racial justice and equity in our community. I believe that by enacting this act, it is crucial to addressing systemic issues that disproportionately impact African American families. The African American Family Preservation Disproportionate Act seeks to address the disparities in the child welfare system that often lead to the disproportionate removal of African American children from their families. By implementing cultural responsive and community-based solutions, this legislation aims to ensure that African American families receive the support and the resources they need to stay together and thrive. And I just want to pause for a moment before I read the rest of this letter, why this is important. Here in America, there seems to be maybe a devalue of African Americans' family. There seems to be this notion even today that family do not matter for African American families. Family is foundational for us in all of its ways. And it always have been. Even when we were enslaved, one, marriage took place. Even when the marriage took place and the fathers and the mothers and the children were removed and placed in other places, it mattered. It mattered for parents, it mattered for grandparents, it matters for the aunts and the cousins. Family mattered. This is why it is called the African American Family Preservation. Preserving Black families is foundational. And this seems to be continue to get lost in the hearings, in the comments that are coming from other people, that value of what it means to preserve the family. It is important, and it is foundational for the Black family. Even when children continue to be removed, and every time a parent loses their parental right, the grandmother, the aunts, they all lose their rights too. What society do we live in where a system creates a process where family do not matter anymore? I don't understand. So it is essential that we take concrete steps to dismantle the systemic barriers that perpetuate racial inequality and ensure that all families have equal access to the support and the resources they need to succeed. If we can give foster parents support to bring kids into their homes, we can do that to families, to stabilize families. And we know the statistics tell us that kids are being removed not for abuse, it's for neglect. It could be educational neglect, something as simple as that. By supporting this act, you would not only be standing up for the rights of African American families, but also contributing to the creation of a more just and equitable society for all. For all, I urge you to consider the profound impact that this legislation will have on the lives of countless families in our community who have been affected by the injustices of the current child welfare system. And so I look forward to legislators putting their feelings aside or feeling a certain way or having a community of people show up when a bill is being presented and no one acknowledges the pain and the hurt that is happening within Black families, but go on to talk about other issues. It's not okay. It is not okay. This is not about policies of goal. This is today. And when people show up and they get outraged in a committee that does not acknowledge the hurt and the pain of Black mothers, fathers, families, and community, that trauma shows up. That's the reaction of what we see of individuals and families that continue to perpetuate and not value family preservation within the Black family. So I will be sending this out. I will. There's been way too much chatter in the communities, especially within the Black communities, Black leaders, not just in the urban core, but around this state about what families are seeing and hearing. It's way too much chatter. The Black community has always been supportive. Not all are Democrats, but we are strongly Democrats. And the legislature spent tons of money last session around their values. They moved policies around their values. They dedicated money with their values. We need to see that value happen with Black families. And so, although Ramsey County is doing the work that we do to specifically address Black families and what we're seeing, we need the state to step up and do this. And if you need some data, if you need some research, if you need some evidence-based practices, we can help you with that. And we want to help you with that. But you cannot dismiss this issue. We cannot dismiss a child welfare system where the data is telling us that there can be a neglect for a Black family and there can be a neglect for a white family, the same issue. The Black family, the children are being removed from their homes. The white family gets supports and services. There are real inequities. See us, hear us, and let's move on this issue so that we can improve on a system that has historically disproportionately devalue the family, the Black family, and remove kids from their families. And I am a strong advocate for the well-being of children. I would never want to put children in harm's way. Let's be clear about that. But there are some things that we can do. That has been done for some. You know, so active efforts matter. Active efforts matter. That's part of the language for those who don't know. It belongs to all kids and families, you know. And although I'm mentioning African American families and children have been disproportionately impacted, this bill is a bill of inclusiveness. It covers any and all families who have been disproportionately impacted by a child welfare system. And so, for clarity, we are protected, everyone's protected under the 14th Amendment. And so I would leave it there, but I could not get to the end of session without raising this awareness to many of the people that I love and like in the legislature, that this is the moment. This is the moment to move forward. So, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
Thank you, Commissioner Moran. Commissioner Zhang.
No report, thank you.
All right, thank you. I am just going to wrap by just doing a quick agenda check. We have rescheduled today's Emergency Communications Center tour to the 23rd of April at 12:15, so we will not be going over there today. We're going to move downstairs. We'll take a quick 5-minute transition. The team is there waiting for us for the board workshop in room 220 on property assessments and equity impacts. And then we will have the media event, Climate Equity Action Plan press conference. You are all invited. Commissioner Reinhardt and I will be speaking along with staff. It is at 1:30 in the media room at Plato. So with that, we are adjourned.